into another exclusive live stream with founder of an new tool that we'll be discussing today in the live stream. So first of all, let's welcome Austin Kerr to the stream. Welcome, Austin, and thank you very much for providing us this slot of time to
Yeah,
explore.
absolutely.
Okay,
Very excited to be here.
so guys, you can find the name of the tool and the link for this tool and the deal which is now live. You can go and check out the link below in the description. Basically, its name is Humanagement, and as apparently viewable, or let's say visible inside name, that what this tool does is that you can manage your employees, and there are a lot of features we'll be diving deep inside, and Austin will providing us a demo for it. So first of all, Austin, I would like to ask you that tell us in brief that what is Humanagement and what are its main use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So Humanagement is a simple solution for managing employees. The main purpose of it was I found that for most companies that were under 100 employees or so, people had kind of mishmashed a bunch of different solutions between Excel sheets, maybe an ERP like Monday.com, maybe some incognito forms. They manage their employees. So more than just the simple HR features, when it comes to a manager or CEO, having a way of giving direct assignments to employees or training employees or keeping in compliance, having streamlined communication, tracking metrics. There wasn't really a good software that made it easy for a business owner to just walk in and have everything set up. That didn't take any thought or any time or any learning curve, but just something that they could just walk in and suddenly have a nice way of setting up their company, both for themselves and for the employees. So that's what the software is attempting to do, is to make that simple and enjoyable to manage your company and your employee and your team. So some of the main use cases, like I had said, is, if there's a company that, let's say, has 10 or 15 employees, the owner started a business because he was really great at producing a product, let's say like coaching clients. And now he's brought in some staff, some salespeople, some marketing people, some other coaches, and now he has a whole business. But how do you keep track of all the HR needs of that? How do you make sure that when someone leaves, you can easily, train that person? How do you make sure that you can keep track of everyone's responsibilities as your staff changes? How do you make sure you're keeping track of, most important metrics in people's production? And so that would be a great use case. Some of the companies that use this are like, a publishing company, real estate investment company, voice teaching company, a company that mediates like mold, so it's very, very inclusive of a lot of different company types.
Okay. So basically what we can say, the spotlight features are basically employee management, which includes employee training in the form of learning management system, plus knowledge base, right? So
Yeah,
let's.
so the knowledge base and the learning management is kind of bred together. So rather than having one separate place to have policies that are easily indexable, and then a different place to create courses and train employees, instead I've merged that together so you can just kind of create articles, and then it'll track who read them. It'll track updates to those policies, who read before and after, and everything's very intuitive, doesn't require any setup.
Okay, so basically there are not two different things such as LMS and knowledge base, but both are merged and two in one at the one place for employee training, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
then two other companion features to really make training employees easy. So I also have reusable checklist. So if you have a process like, when you hire someone, you have some HR has some tasks, and then the manager has some tasks, and then you have to, create their computer and all that stuff. You can create a SOP checklist that you can just create from that template. And then that also serves as an easy way to make sure
Okay,
that
so
people know
we
the things to
will
do.
be diving inside the tool and we'll see that practically later. But one real quick question over LMS is that this is meant for employee training and not for selling courses, right?
Correct. This is only
Yeah.
for internal.
Employee training. Okay.
Yeah.
So I already mentioned the highlighted features on the screen so audience can read. And so I would like to ask about company. So what's parent company behind Humanagement? How big is your team and from where? in the world you are based out of?
So I'm based out of Clearwater. The parent company is called Sarah Said Cereal, which is my Scottish family's motto. But yeah, the team's pretty small, honestly. What this company does, in addition to just into this software, is we do custom development of software for companies. So that's part of why building a software like this has come very natural to us, is because that is the main product, or what we've been doing for the last 3 years. So the team is just me, 3 developers, and then an admin who's helping, launch the LTDs and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So for this tool, this can be used globally by from any location. I think
Mm-hmm.
there is no specific region that this tool made for, right?
No.
So, and yeah, we have audience from all around the world. So yeah, let's begin the presentation or demo of
Sure.
the tool. You can share your screen, and audience can see it, right? I'll push in the stream.
Let me just. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Sharing right now.
Yeah. Your
So you guys can see the screen, okay?
yeah.
Perfect.
Just
Okay.
a second.
So this is the software. First feature I would go into is the attendance. So here I have a really easy clock in and out feature. So you can go in unavailable. Like, let's say someone is going to the post office, right? So that can be logged in here, as well as like, they're in, but they're unavailable because they're obviously out of the office, or they can clock out. This will, keep up to date with how much you work that week, as well as, how much you work that day. So that feature also gives you like a view where you can look at all of the clock in statuses, all the comments that are there. You can also, if the admin gives you permission, or if he gives the employee permission, they can update that, and it's always recorded there. Little simple stuff like that, add a clock in. They can also export that data, like for their payroll software. It'll export the data in total, as well as like a decimal format and that sort of stuff. So the next feature is the employee profile. So this is like your standard HR MS type feature. Here you can have your, employee's division, their birthday, date employed. You can keep track of their pay rate, the last evaluation, social security number, or whatever employee identification number you need. You can control that user's permissions, right? So each user is also an employee, so it's the same. So if you have like a 5-user package or 20-user package, then you also have 20 employees, and they can go unlimited. So here we have the time off tracker. So a feature I'll get into in a minute, but you can also have people take time off, like request a sick day or a PTO, and that'll go into here. As you can see all that data here. You can also allocate time to that person. Like, this person only has 5 paid time off days, or 6, etc. You can do assigned responsibilities. So as we talked about earlier, when we're talking about training employees, one thing that's really important that I have not seen a good software cover is what people do. So here you can say this person is responsible for consulting with clients, for answering the phones. You can create new responsibilities. It logs that. And then if this person leaves or gets promoted, you can reassign their responsibilities, and there's tracking for all of that. So also in here, you can keep track of all of your employee files, like W-2s, or any sort of tax document, any sort of paperwork you had them sign. You can upload that, store it here. You can also see all the policies they've read. So as we were talking about responsibilities, we also have this overall responsibilities view. So in here, you can see all of your employees and all of their responsibilities. You can also click here and add new responsibilities to them. You don't have to go to their profile to do that. And you can also move them between each other. It's tracking who's moving it and when it was moved. So that makes it really easy for you to also see overwhelm. And like, let's say you have a small team of 5 who's doing a lot of work. When you hire that new person, you, instead of trying to figure out what they should do, you can easily just migrate the responsibilities over to them. So you can also view this data in an org chart structure. So this is generated automatically as you're just adding the employees. You don't have to do anything extra to do that. You can edit stuff about like their division or the department. You can see that there's a color here, so you can see where they're in visually. You can also see their clock in status here, whatever comment they had left, and you can also view their responsibilities. So this part of the software is really geared just towards a lot of very standard HR type stuff. But like I said, in a very simple way that doesn't require a lot of training or you getting your head around it. It's all very intuitive and very easy. And you guys can stop me at any point, if you have any questions, I'm going to go kind of fast through this to allow for as much Q&A as possible. So the next feature that I would go into is the knowledge base, as we had been talking about. So the knowledge base also can operate as an LMS. You get videos at some of these pages showing you, exactly what they do. And when you have these ones here, you have categories. You can create whatever categories you want. They're, obviously searchable. So if you have a lot of this, someone can find that knowledge very easily. If you're going to look at one of them, pop it open here. So in one of these, you can do rich text. You can add images. You can add tables, whatever you need, all very easily. You can also add files. You can also record videos directly from here. You can record your screen. You can record your webcam, or you can upload your own video. And you do get not an extensive amount of video storage, but you do get some video storage if you want, to have 50 or so 2 or 3 minute videos. You'll be able to do that right in the software. So in here, you can assign this policy to a division of employees. And so this is how it starts to become an LMS, because in here, it'll actually track. Let me jump out to one that has some data in it. Here we go. Yeah, so here's an article. So we're able to see here that we can see the date it was created. We can see when it was updated, and we can see everyone who's read it right here. And so someone can click this button, acknowledge and mark as read, and that will update on there to show that they've read it. If they go through and there's any update to it, everyone is notified by email and by the system that the policy has been updated, and then they get a new option to acknowledge and mark it as read. They can also view the full version, so they can see all the times it's been updated, who's read before and after each of those versions. They can also click here to see the employees, and they can see which employees have read that policy. So it's a pretty simple setup, but it has a lot of power here because you get a full view as that policy has a life cycle, and as it gets edits and as it gets changes, you'll be able to see all of the data on who's read it when, and it does it seamlessly without you having to do anything. So as I showed you earlier, you can also go to the profile of each employee, and you can see all the articles that they've read here. And so you'll be able to see that data, and you'll be able to know, okay, yeah, they've read this. I can hold them accountable to it. Or if you have like any sort of compliance with certificates with your work, you can also say, yeah, okay, I can see that this person has marked that as read. So going into the checklist feature I had also talked about. So in here, you can create any sort of checklist you need to. You have sections that are assigned to either divisions of employees or to positions. You can have many different field types like paragraph text input or drop downs or checkboxes. To show you what one of these ones look like, you just go over here. You would start a new one from the template. And then as it gets checked off, you can see it's marking the date and who checked it off. And then when you finish with the section, it's then going to look at what that next part is assigned to. It's going to select the employees who fit that that filter, whether that's position or division. And then you can click that, and they'll get an email notification that they now have some steps to complete here. So you can also print this as PDF if you want to save it anywhere. This is really useful and really flexible for things like, new employee onboarding or new client onboarding, where you have not necessarily you want to train people, but you just have things that must happen in a nice organized way. Okay, I see a question here from Justin Sturgis asking, does it have any communication sentiment features like Ask Nicely or Beekeeper? I'm not familiar with either of those softwares, so I can't say if it has a communication feature like that. If you're talking about a chat feature, this doesn't have a chat yet. It is on the roadmap, but there is something next I'll show you that does aid a lot in communication. That'll be the very next feature I'll go over. So yeah, as far as this checklist goes, it's pretty simple. It can take a little bit of time to set up, but it can be immensely powerful in giving you a way to keep these policies and procedures in, especially things when we're dealing with remote employees and, we can't actually do paper. A lot of companies used to sometimes do like a little paper checklist that they would print off for when a new client gets hired, but that doesn't really work anymore. So this is a feature that handles that problem. So answering Justin's question, what we have for communication is this thing called request. So request is a very, very flexible feature. There are different request types. So the first one that I talked on a little bit earlier is the time off request. So when someone wants to request time off, a manager, based on the permission, can create different types of time off. It can create, PTO or sick days, or any of these types of things, and they can say that this is paid or not paid. They can say how much it's paid at a full rate, which is a 1, or at half rate, which would be a 5, right? And so the employee can then see these as they're then making those requests to put them in, how much time they have remaining, fields like that. There's also a promotion or a pay or post change request, which has fields for like how much they were getting paid, how much they're asking for, why they deserve the raise, that sort of stuff. And we also have the approval request, which is the most flexible. So an approval request can be used for anything from, let's say, some use cases are like there's a company that deals with property management. So they use this for when a collection agent hears of a repair that's needed, they can make a request and send it to the repair department or to their manager. Or there's another company that has a lot of private contractors, and they like to send in pay requests saying, hey, this is how many hours I worked. I would like to be approved to be paid. So once a request is made, what will happen is it will show up for someone to approve it, right? So when you're creating, you can see here, I'm the originator and I'm asking Victor, my senior, to approve it. So if someone sent a request into me, it would show up right here, and this is a time off request. So I would then get this, and I would be able to see what the details are. I have then the choice of forwarding it, approving it, or denying it. So there's no forced lines here as far as who can approve it or who can deny it. So if I get it, like let's say I'm in the case of a request to get something repaired and I'm that person's manager, the collections manager, I can then say, well, I need to get this approved by the CEO of the company because they're going to spend some money. So I can then forward this request to whoever I need to, and I can leave a comment. So this gives a nice communication channel for these requests, and the originator can never see these requests. So if like someone's asking for a pay or post change, they're not going to be able to see the comments as me and other managers have a conversation regarding that pay raise. But they would be able to see that it is moving through the company. It's not just like a stale and forgotten request. So when a request is approved, it also becomes an assignment or a task. So this isn't a task management system in a traditional sense where we're dealing with projects and we're combining tasks to achieve some sort of goal. But it does often come up that someone just needs something done and they need a nice, tracked way of saying, I need this done. So an assignment can either be created by an approved request or just one-off, right? And an assignment example would be like, hey, I need you to hire a new behavioral specialist, right? So I could send that request to somebody, and then that person will receive that they have an assignment to complete. They can then either mark that as complete through here or in progress, or they could go through the Kanban view and they'd be able to easily just drag and drop these between each other. So this is kind of a tool for communicating, kind of a tool for approvals, kind of a tool for requests, but it managed to does it all in a very, very simple way. Justin, if you could answer whether or not that answers your question, or if what you're asking for is a different type of feature, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. I think yeah, we have a couple of comment. One you already answered, and so you covered everything from dashboard.
No, there's a few more features. Not much. The main one that I need to go into now is the statistics feature.
Okay, so let's complete it, and we'll
Okay,
be talking further later.
perfect. Okay, so then the last feature is called statistics. So this is probably the most fully featured part of the product so far. So this is a simple way to track anything. So whether it's you wanting to track your gross income, or you're wanting to track your number of employees, or your support requests, whatever you want to do, you can track that in here. So I see Justin replied saying that it wasn't his question, but he did find it helpful. So I'm glad that he found that helpful. So in here, you can, really easily just go in here, create a stat, like anything you want to track. Like let's say you want to track support request. right? So you just press create, and now support request statistic is made. So automatically, it's going to allow you to track this as a weekly stat. You can choose to track it as any sort of data cardinality that you want. So if you want it to be daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, you can choose that, and you can enter the data in that way, and it'll work with that really, really easily. So in here, it's going to grab the end of the current week. So which by default is Friday, but you can change that to be whatever you want. And so now I can just add values in here. I can add a value for the next week. Let's say this is down, so it's going to be 23. And then let's add one more. And let's say this is up. Right. So if this is support request, that's probably something I don't want to be going up. So therefore, I can go over here and change the logic to inverted. So now it's going to be tracking it invertedly, right? So now being down is up and being up is down. So you can see that this is a very flexible feature for tracking pretty much anything. It could be a support request, or it could be anything that you need to track. So, some examples are a very common statistic to keep track of would be your gross income, right? So if you're tracking your gross income, you can also view the data in different ways. So let's say you want to compare the range. You want to see, was last year better than this year? And so I can easily see the data here, and it's overlaid of last year to this year. If I want to make that a bit more flexible, I can click here, and then I can compare different data points, different amounts, and I can get that full view of being able to compare this data as it's being generated. I can also choose, let's say I don't want to compare that stat to itself. Instead, I want to compare it to a different stat. I can do this compare stats. So now I can click a different stat. These are actually not in the same, don't have the same data points. But let's see here. This is sample data, so it can be a little funny sometimes. Yeah, so here I can see, here's some data compared to the other data. And I'd be able to go through and I can click and I can see, any data point, how the closing percentage is different from the average closing percentage. I can also view it accumulating for that date period. So I can see, what's the total in that period as a percentage. But you get the idea. I can also view the labels from there. If I want to, I can also make this a calculating stat. So let's say in order to get an average closing, I want to take the number of closed leads and I want to divide it by the number of new leads, right? Then multiply that by 100. I could then get a closing percentage. So I can do math between these stats as well. You can see I can do stats or numbers. These go on for forever. So if you're someone who really likes data, you can get really, really in depth with this. If you're someone who wants to just keep track of a few things on the face of it, it's also very easy to do that. You can also do tags, so you can make it really easy to keep these things organized. By default, they're organized by employee. So you'd be able to, let's see, I could say I want to only see the stats for this that have this import tag. I can also say I want to only see my stats, or I want to see all the stats in the company. I can do different types of sorting. I can sort by the stats that are the most up or the most down, all sorts of things. I can also go over here and I can have external stats. So this does connect with Zapier. I'm working on an integration with Pabbly as well. But right now we just have Zapier. So in here, let's say I want to connect it to Stripe. Every time I get a payment, it'll then go and add that number to the gross income stat, and I can have that be automatic, or I can have the number of sales, or I can keep track of the number of sales as well as the amount of sales. Then I can get a weekly average number or average value of each sale. I can do automatic reviews from Google. I can track anything to also get that business sense. So on the dashboard, I have a lot of these little features that are kind of shown up here. So like you can see all the stats that are assigned to you, your primary stat. You can see this little to-do list, which doesn't integrate with anything, but a simple way to track what you're doing in progress or done. You can see the policies that are assigned to you. You can also see upcoming birthdays and work anniversaries, as well as national holidays based upon the employee data. So yeah, there's a lot of little features that are kind of in there, but this is kind of a general overview so that you guys all understand exactly what the software does. So yeah, if you want to hop back in, or if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, so that was awesome to have a whole tour of this tool, and I think we covered everything, right? So, guys, if you have any question,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
drop.
This was all the need.
Okay, so if you have any question, you can still drop in the comment box. And if you are watching replay after this live stream ends, then also you can drop your comment inside comment box, as there will be someone from Humanagement to reply your questions, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
so. Uh, I think basically what I understood is that if you are managing any teams, right? If you have many people working for you, or either online, remote job, or let's say in an office, it's really a very good tool to manage your employees, track your employees, and to train your employees, right? To give, because
Exactly.
provide training to your employees is really difficult task, because if someone left your company and new has joined, you have to resi- restart whole training again, right? So if
Hmm.
you create a documentation or a, let's say, knowledge base with videos, that's really easy for any new one to follow your SOPs and all that, right? So
Exactly.
it's not that it can only be used by any SaaS companies or like that, but I think even agencies can make a good use of it, right?
Yeah,
Marketing
absolutely.
agencies, development agencies, and all, right?
Hmm.
So, guys, we covered everything, and we'll be signing off soon. But before we sign off, we are going to announce a giveaway. So, we have a giveaway. So, here is the announcement for giveaway on my screen, and even I will drop inside comment box, and I will explain you about it also, right? So, first task is to subscribe on this YouTube channel, because this live stream we are doing right now on Facebook, it's not on YouTube. But within an hour, this video recording will be available on YouTube. So, I've provided the link below in the comment box also. First task is to subscribe on YouTube channel. Second task, when this video gets published on YouTube in next 1 hour, you have to comment on that. What you have to comment on video? You have to comment that what problems you are facing in managing your team, or let's say employees, right? First point. And second point, what are your views about Humanagement? So go to Humanagement deal page. What do you think about deal? What do you think about its features? If you have any suggestions or feedback that can help founders or teams to make this tool more better and more useful, and right, so in any way you can help founders, you can do that, because they are open for feedback, right? So, guys, this is the giveaway. One random winner will be picked up from the YouTube comments, and it may be random, or it may be with the best suggestions that we'll be deciding that how we are going to pick up. Let's see how many people participates in this giveaway. So, guys, link I have provided for the deal in the description of this live stream, and the YouTube channel link you will find inside the comment box, right? And video will be published in next 1 hour, I think, on YouTube. So is that fine,
Yeah,
Austin?
I think that's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your
So
time. I
uh,
really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to explore my software and show it to your fans and your subscribers. So thank you so much.
okay. Thank you once again for the time you provided to us. One more thing, I would like to ask you about human
Hmm.
agent, that this is a lifetime deal, right? It's a one-time payment.
Hmm.
And SaaS companies need regular funds, and you definitely need to go for recurring revenue after this lifetime deal. So show us in brief to our audience that what you have plans to grow as a recurring revenue, right? In terms of recurring revenue.
Yeah. So one of the kind of obvious pairings that this software has is with business consultants. A lot of business consultants get their clients to keep track of SOPs. They get them to keep track of some sort of metrics. And so I've been working on a couple deals, affiliate partnerships with business consultants who will be able to bring me, reoccurring revenue, and they'll get a portion of that. Also, as a note, because this lifetime deal does have a limited number of users. So if you buy, let's say, 5 users or 5 employees, and then your company expands, hopefully in part because my software is able to make your business that much easier to run, then those additional users that you would need would then become recurring. So we've had a few people question about that. So if you buy like 20, that's a good idea to buy the 20 user package, especially if you only have 5 employees now, because that means that you're unlikely to need employee or additional monthly users in the future. But that is definitely part of what I'm hoping to happen from all these lifetime deals, is that I will get a lot of companies who will then expand greatly and then will become partially reoccurring revenue.
Okay, so that was good to hear that you're already planning for recurring revenue and you have your plans for that. One more thing, that the lifetime deal buyers will get all the future updates and features also, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So that was a couple of questions from my side. So I asked Austin and he replied it, guys. So guys, thank you for joining. See you in the next live stream. Okay.
Bye.
Do not forget to participate in giveaway, as you can see on screen and also inside the comment box, right? I'll be dropping comment if it's not posted already somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because we are live at multiple places on Facebook, so give me a minute and I'll post the link if not posted everywhere, right? Thank you for joining, guys. See you in the next stream.
Okay. See ya.